And welcome back to another episode of Underdog Podcast. Look at me being right on time. Well, 10:59. That's good. That's good. I usually don't start anything early or do anything directly on time. So, kind of proud of myself. As my cat sits behind me and the stream has disconnected, attempting to reconnect. That's amazing. Love how I start the stream and it just stops. I guess the stream has been started, but the second I press record and start talking, next thing you know, boop, stream interrupted. That's cool. That's amazing. Oh well. It would just mess up the recording of the video. No one's on the stream anyways. It's not like it matters. But that one time, I have people. It'll be the one time like I have someone's checking in on a live stream. Next thing you know, it'll crash or something like that. No one ever comes into the live stream, probably because I'm on D Live. I should probably do it on Twitch, but I just don't like Twitch. I watch things on Twitch, but I don't know. I don't even watch stuff on D Live, but I stream on here. And I know me putting it down as profanity or not safe for work also takes me out of the algorithm, so you can't really search it or find my thing. But yeah, it is what it is. No big deal. Who cares? Somebody does. Maybe I should. Since this is my show, I should really care. Whatever. I'm rambling. I'm rambling. Happy Friday. Hopefully, you got something planned this weekend. Hopefully, you're not just living for the weekend either, and you got other things planned on throughout the week. Because every day is a new day to have fun and celebrate whatever it is that you want to celebrate. I jumbled my words up because I was gonna cuss, and I was like, "Nah, I'm not gonna cuss." And now I think about, fuck it. Whatever the fuck you want to do every day of the week, go ahead and do that shit, man. Don't wait for no special day. Don't wait for anything. You want to celebrate today for no fucking reason? Guess what? You don't need a reason to celebrate. Celebrate it. Don't wait for the weekend. But I know most of us, especially in the Western world, we wait for the weekend. And probably work culture, forced jobs, labor, stuff like that. Maybe that could be the reason. Or, just it is what it is. And whatever. Who cares? So, a lot of topics I could talk about today. You see the title of today's episode, what I'm mainly going to be focusing on. There's some things that I'm watching that I don't want to have an opinion yet. I don't want to talk about because I need to gather more information. Obviously, the attack in Syria by against the Iran-backed militia. Here we go again in Syria, just like Obama was trying to do, because that's a part of their plans, part of the countries they got to take over, Syria and Iran, which I believe are the last two ones that they need to invade and be into. And so I haven't really looked into too much of that. It's interesting to see that. It makes me wonder, did Joe Biden actually make that call to the Pentagon, or did the Pentagon act on its own? I mean, they probably wouldn't say that. At the same time, I think Kamala Harris is kind of. I guess there's reports that she's mad that she wasn't involved in it, and so it makes me wonder who is acting as president in the so-called Biden-Harris administration. Kind of like what Tory talks about all the time, where you got two presidents. Kind of makes you wonder what Obama is doing, right? Because I mean, this so-called Biden-Harris administration seems to be a lot of Obama stuff, right? Kind of makes you wonder what's going on, and it's interesting to me too, because it's these world events, man, and it's like you don't really know all the information, so you're trying to piece it together, and just something just feels odd about it. And even the way the media is approached towards it, like I really seem to be talking about the bombing, yet like what last year, January last year, when Trump took out one of the Iranian defense leaders or whatever the case may be with a predator drone strike. And people were all mad about that, and I was one of those people who were kind of like, I was iffy about it because I don't like things being done that such as that Congress and whoever else doesn't know about. But at the same time, all these people are shady and corrupt, so I don't know who you can trust anyways. They don't care about America. So it's interesting to kind of see how this will play out. So I don't want to have too much opinion on it. I'm just gonna sit back and uh, collect some information. Also, I guess the CPAC, which is I don't even know what the acronym stands for. I should have looked it up. I don't even know what the acronym stands for, but I know a lot of it's Republican parties members and stuff like that. And so we're here in Orlando, Florida. It makes me wonder. I probably could have went over there and covered it if I want, or be around there, be in the know or something like that. But I think Trump is talking. He will be making his first public appearance speech there. It should be Sunday, so I'll definitely be listening to that, and probably have something to report on Monday morning. Hopefully, if there's something to report on. I mean, big whether it's big or just small stuff, whatever. I mean, it all depends on the information which you get from it and how you can see the different perspectives of the information that you're receiving. So, trying to think, there's something else I want to kind of just briefly go over. I can't remember now. Those are the two things that kind of stood out to me politically speaking. I mean, there was something else. Oh well, I can't really remember what it is. So to get into today's first topic, Bitcoin, 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 Bitcoin. And I don't necessarily hate Bitcoin. I'm just cautious of it because, like I talked about before, we covered a report of Department of Justice seizing Bitcoin from Silk Road, from your dark web entities and stuff like that. And I know how the government works when it comes to, and this, when I say I know how, like I talked about before, talking with OSI agents and how I was I put in my application to be an OSI agent, and they were talking to me because they knew I was gonna be in there anyway because I already passed all their little stupid little tests and stuff, whatever. And I had a great record. I have a great military record. So no bad remarks, actually not one negative remark. To be honest with you, now I think about it, which apparently is good because I thought everybody had, why would you have a bad remark? If I have bad remarks, that means somebody's trying to fuck with my paycheck, which would be me. I'm responsible for my paycheck and my behavior. But anyways, so a lot of things that the government does, they get taxpayers' money funding them, but at the same time, you have these government entities like your FBI, OSI, Office of Special Investigation for Air Force. So you have your NCIS, which is the same thing, and then you got like your CIA, who they only get so much in budgeting from the government, from the federal budget, from Congress and stuff like that, and that's taxpaying dollars. But things you want to do where you don't want taxpayer dollars on, you want to make some extra money. What do? Well, you go after some quote unquote bad guys and take their money. But a lot of times they kind of set up the bad guys to take their money. So you have your seized assets, and now all of a sudden you got a couple $100 million, maybe a couple $1 billion. So when I think of Bitcoin and I've seen the things that have happened since its beginning, it always makes me wonder something's kind of odd about this, man. It just something's odd about this that people, Bitcoin's for the people and all this other stuff, but we don't actually know who created Bitcoin. And I don't like to fuck with things that I don't actually know too much about its origin. Like, like you take the Christian Bible. Yeah, I see where the stories of whatever and the stories I share with my kids, but listen to what I say, stories, because I don't know the origins of everything, who came up with this. So you take everything with a grain of salt. I try to use that metaphor with my kids, and they're kind of like, huh? Like, yeah, actually, it kind of doesn't make sense, but whatever. So there's an article here from The Verge. I had an article from Business Insider, but stupid. Oh, you reach your amount of free articles, so you can't do this anymore. But it's ironically enough, you can look up. I can look up on my phone. I guess I reached the last part of it on my phone, and so when I try to open up the article on my desktop, it's like, oh, nah, you reached your limit. Whatever, man. I'm not paying for their articles, man. I'll find someone else that has something about it. It's not like their information is that much more worthy that I need to pay for their bullshit article. Because even this article from The Verge, I don't care about all this shit. So Coinbase went public. We talked about that yesterday. Reveals $1.2 billion revenue plans. $1.2 billion in revenue last year. You have tens of millions of people investing in Coinbase. Coinbase is a global company. You have to ask yourself, are you one of those tens of millions of people investing in cryptocurrency? Because there's a whole, like I said, there's a whole different game people are playing. Are you part of that? Or are you not? And when they say people and customers, man, it could be shell corporations. It could be fake corporations, all types of different things going on. So it has this whole article. And so when Coinbase goes public, it has to have a kind of a listing for as certain things in its information, as far as what they're invested in and stuff like that. Some of their financial, their financial records, because obviously they're going public. So the first paragraph of this article says Coinbase has publicly filed paperwork to list its stock on the NASDAQ exchange, a huge step forward in the first major offering for a cryptocurrency company. Coinbase's S-1 was published on Thursday morning after being confidentially submitted to the SEC in December. So now this is made public, the little filings and stuff. So the whole article talks about all the stuff is what's in Coinbase's revenues, other financial information, but I don't care about none of that shit, because here's these last two paragraphs is the only thing that matters. So it says much of Coinbase's success has been due to its ongoing focus on complying with financial regulations concerning cryptocurrency. Coinbase was one of the first exchanges to embrace regulations concerning one of the first exchanges to embrace conventional know your customer finance rules, despite reluctance from the libertarian the libertarian corners of the cryptocurrency world. As those regulations continue to tighten, many of Coinbase's competitors have been prosecuted for money laundering, and the company continues to invest heavily in legal compliance. Kathy Haun, Haun, a former prosecutor who led the Silk Road Task Force corruption case, what I literally just talked about, being on the dark web, Silk Road, all this type of stuff that the government is involved in that they rarely talk about, and it's never covered in mainstream media, now sits on Coinbase's board of directors. See how they jump from public to private entities? Coinbase is a private entity, obviously going to go public, but when I say public, I mean state, the government. You know, those so-called public officials that's supposed to represent us, we the people in the United States of America. Clearly, that's bullshit. That's a scam. So this last paragraph states, or reads, in a nod to the historic nature of the filing, exclusive Bitcoin founder Satoshi Nakamoto is listed on the S1 as an interested party alongside lawyers and investors involved in the deal. As a result, a copy of the filing has been sent to Nakamoto's Bitcoin wallet. So right there, it lets me know that they know the address of Nakamoto's Bitcoin wallet, which I didn't realize was a thing that people had information on. But when you're a $1 billion corporation, guess what? You got the money, means you got the resources to find this information. And this could be something that has been known to others in the crypto world. I just never looked into. I never knew about, because the thing about Bitcoin that's always bothered me is we don't know who actually made it. I can't trust something if I don't know who actually made it. If I can't put a name and a face to what is being out there. So it says the filing also lists the identification of Nakamoto as a potential risk, saying the value of Bitcoin and thus Coinbase might be damaged by, quote unquote, the identification of Satoshi Nakamoto, the pseudonymous person or persons who develop Bitcoin, or the transfer of Satoshi's Bitcoins. No one knows exactly how much, I guess, is in the actual wallet, the Bitcoin wallet of Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever the person or persons is. There's some theories out there that saying that that person or entity could have a lot of Bitcoin, and if they ever decide to sell it, the whole thing would crash. That right there makes me a little uneasy, because how can something like that be worth so much as it is now? And you're saying, oh, because Bitcoin did is this and that. No, no, no. No one knows who created this shit. Well, no regular people know. I'm sure I know there's people that know, they just ain't talking about it. And I'm gonna show you a clip here in a little bit. So there's people that know that just won't talk about it. And that should put anyone on edge as an investor. That's investing 101. Just know the fundamentals of what you're investing into. Know who created it, know where it comes from, know how it's being used, understand the principles, especially when you're talking about long-term investing. Obviously, when you're talking about short-term day trade investing, you're probably going to focus more on the charts analysis and stuff like that. I don't really get into that because I'm a long-term investor. I'm planning out for 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. Got to plan years ahead, because I'm trying to play the game that these people are playing. I'm a novice. I'm out here trying to wing it, but I'm trying to play the game these people are playing. So that's what always bothered me about Bitcoin, is that to me that's the biggest risk right there. And yeah, you can make money in Bitcoin. I made I want to say a couple of $100 profit, couple of $1,000 profit, I believe, one year. So yeah, you can make profit on it and stuff. But it's the long term thing, because it makes me a little uneasy. It makes me a little uneasy. And of course, I could be wrong. But odds are I'm wrong. Odds are I'm wrong. But at the same time, I go on my gut feeling. My gut feeling tells me, hey, this is something something's just not right about this. Something's just a little odd about this. Because when I think of Bitcoin, I'm gonna show you guys this video first before I go into that theory. So this is something that I found on the internet this morning. A digital asset investor, which I definitely like him. He's one of the people. I think he really was the first person I was watching when I was looking up. I was trying to find XRP, and he's big into XRP, and he has some Bitcoin. He talks about owning other things and stuff. But as far as Bitcoin goes, to me, I feel like it's been there first, so it kind of has a name in the crypto world. So it's always gonna have some type of value, maybe. But I'm always skeptical of it. Wait, why is Twitter telling me relevant people? And it has myself. Of course I'm relevant. It's my account. It's whatever. That's odd. Okay, we'll go ahead and play this video. Digital asset investors. So he tweeted out from the Coinbase S1 filing. If the identity of the creator was revealed, it could cause Bitcoin prices to deteriorate, according to the filing. The filing also referenced Nakamoto's personal stash of Bitcoins, which totals over 1 million. 1 million Bitcoins. There's only going to be 21 million made. 5 million of that has already been, is lost due to just people forgot the private keys of those wallets. So this is Dan Pena, who is called a $1 trillion man. I don't know how much he actually has. I don't know if he has trillions of dollars, but at the same time, your Forbes list that's tell you, oh, Amazon, Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk is the richest person in the world. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. You really think the richest person in the world will let anyone know that they're the richest person in the world? Money is private. Even amongst family, you won't tell your own family members exactly how much is in your bank account. So if you have trillions of dollars, or even just hundreds of billions of dollars, trillions of dollars, quadrillions of dollars, you think you're gonna tell anybody? Fuck no, man. My daughter came to me last night, and she was like, "Yeah, Dad, I got this amount of money, or it's like I got money and stuff for my for my birthday and stuff like that," because she was talking about buying or something. And she's like, "You want to know how much I got?" I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. No, man. That's private. That's your business. You don't tell me how much money you have. That's your business." Now, obviously, I'm your parent, so there might be times where I ask for the sake of it, but no, that's your business. I'm like, that's private. You don't tell nobody exactly how much money you have. I was like, "You think you know how much money I have?" I was like, "You think I'm going to tell you exactly how much money I have?" No, I'm not. It's private. It's not your business, man. Like, I don't care, man. That's just because money can be the root of all evil, man. People act different when they hear how much money you got. People all of a sudden start asking, "Hey, man, since you got this much money, can you kind of help me out?" I'm not gonna fault anybody for that because that's a reasonable thought to have. Like, hey, you got this, you got more than what you need. Can I get a little bit of it? And that's a reasonable thought. So I'm not faulting anybody for that ever. I've never faulted anybody ever, family, friends, anybody asking because don't be afraid to ask for help and stuff. But at the same time, like my money is private. I never ever tell. I probably have. I'm not gonna say I can't never ever. I probably have because it's funny because money is private. If you got a good amount, you notice that. If I'm broke as shit, you'll tell everybody, "Oh, I'm broke. I'm broke." But I don't care if I have $1 billion in a bank account or assets all around the world. Guess what? I'm broke. And I'm broke, man. I'm broke. Oh man, I want to go out to eat tonight. You trying to go out to eat? Nah, I'm broke. Well, you sure? I feel like you ain't broke. Nah, I'm broke, guy. I don't know what you're talking about. I ain't got no money. I'm broke as fuck. I ain't got shit. I'm broke, man. I ain't got nothing for you, man. Money, I don't know, man. Money, this is some things you don't disclose everything. Some things you gotta keep to yourself, man. Like it's wild too, because obviously I'm an open, candid person where I speak honestly about everything in my life. But you ain't gonna get the full details of everything. I might give you a broad kind of explanation sometimes but I'm not gonna tell you exactly how much. So if I'm a billionaire or a trillionaire, you think I'm actually gonna tell you how much I have? Hell, you think you'll be able to figure out how much money I have? I have that shit scattered all over the place, man. You wouldn't even fucking know. You wouldn't even know. So there's people way richer than a Jeff Bezos and an Elon Musk. That's because they have public companies and stuff. That's why. So you can tell where most of their stuff is, and even they are hiding their money because everybody's trying to hide their money because ain't nobody trying to pay taxes. Bro, everything's a lie. They're out here lying. Fuck Forbes. Go ahead and listen to what Dan Pena, the Mr. Trillion Dollar Man, has to say.
If you knew who was really behind Bitcoin, you would run as fast as you fucking could to sell it.
So he's saying, I know the audio's kind of low. He's saying if you really knew who's behind Bitcoin, you'll run as fast as you can to fucking sell it. I like how he cusses. He was like, if you actually knew, because people know. NDAs, I talked to you guys about before about me being a junior detective, OSI and stuff. NDAs, you sign this piece of paper, you don't talk about this shit. Plain and simple, because you don't, and it doesn't have to be nothing special. It doesn't have to be nothing super top secret. Hey, you sign this, you keep your mouth shut, because you're agreeing to know this information. We're letting you into our world. You keep your fucking mouth shut. So he's letting you know, if you knew, you would get rid of it so fast.
I know.
He's like, I know, I'm not telling you though.
100%. If you knew who owned Bitcoin or who started Bitcoin, you had Bitcoin, you couldn't sleep at night. I know. 100%. And when the real founder of Bitcoin comes out, it is my humble opinion, and there's nothing humble about me.
Nothing humble about this guy.
Bitcoin will go to fucking zero.
Fucking zero. Quote.
Monday. And a microsecond, whoop, like that.
A microsecond. And, oh man. I know I had seen a video on YouTube somewhere, and I know I liked it and stuff, but that was sometime last year, so it would take a while to even dig up and try to find it. But I believe he was doing one of his little tours or classes or whatever courses at one of his places in London. I think it's somewhere in London or England. I think it's in the UK. I just said like 3 different places, but I think it's in the UK. But he was saying it was actually Russia, Putin. And they did it to bring down the U.S. economy. I don't even think it's that. I think it's CIA. Oh, yes, I said it. I shouldn't have said it, but I said it anyways because something's wrong with me. Something's not right in the brain. I'm gonna say it again. I think it's the CIA because it sounds like something they would do. Go ahead and create this currency, use it illegally to, or use it for your illegal funds to attain funds illegally. Off the books, because it's not about legal or illegal. It's just about being off the books. Because how do you think some of these CIA, FBI, OSI, all these different people, they're funded through tax-paying dollars, but they also get funding when they seize assets during criminal investigations. So the way to get your money up is, I don't know, take down a so-called quote-unquote criminal, and then you seize their assets. I mean, CIA did drug smuggling in the 90s. Gary Webb wrote a book about it and stuff. Next thing you know, he's dead. And drug smuggling going into Arkansas, where Bill Clinton was the governor of, and Hillary Rodham Clinton ended up being a lawyer too and marrying Bill Clinton. And Hillary Rodham is comes from her own type of prominence in her family. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We're gonna have to go into a deep dive into how cocaine got into America. You really think the government doesn't know about that? Who do you think lets guns into this country? Who do you think lets drugs into this country? It's not me or you. It's not just some regular coyotes going across the border and stuff. Everybody's a Pablo Escobar. They're in association with government. Didn't they put a show on Netflix? God damn, what is that show called? Now I forgot. I forgot what the name of it is, but I think y'all know what I'm talking about. It's a show on Netflix. They sitting there. They put these stories into TV and entertainment because it's so unbelievable. It's so wild because it's true. It's so crazy. Or at least based on, there's some half truths in there. You got to kind of sift or cipher through all the unknowns about different things, whatever. But I think the CIA created Bitcoin, man. An association maybe with some foreign entity like Russia or something like that. But because the goal to crash the U.S. dollar has been in the works for decades. It's always a goal to crash the economy. It's always a goal to bring everything down because order through chaos, destroy and rebuild. If you want to bring something in new, you can't allow the people to slowly progress and let everyone change their opinion. Nah, you gotta crash the shit so everybody can freak out, and then you be like, hey, look what we got. Remember we talked about it yesterday, problem, reaction, solution. Like, oh, look what we got going on. Look what we're doing. So I wouldn't be surprised. Hell, especially after last year, plenty of conspiracy theorists or whatever you want to call them been talking about a pandemic, and they're gonna use that to bring in new laws stuff. And we just sat last year and still going through it. We witnessed them bringing in new shit as they sat there and collect data on all of us and continue to collect data on all of us. You don't think they know all the transactions of Bitcoin and all these blockchain digital cryptocurrencies? You think I'm about to make something like the internet and not have access everywhere to it? Come on, man. It's just a network computer. It's just one computer talking to another computer. It's just a manifestation of literally a conscious connection. Our atoms connecting to each other. I suggest you guys watch the Tori Says show. She's on Twitch. She's on YouTube. She's on iHeartRadio. She has a lot of stuff to talk about and things that most stuff I knew about and some stuff I didn't know about. But she has a lot of information, and she's just a regular person that you don't even know about. She's one of those people that don't exist. Talk about all the time. Just throwing it out there. If you want to go listen to someone different, or you want to listen to someone that has some more information, and she is a part of, she worked with the deep state. Like, she worked with the deep state. Her, Patrick Berkey, worked with the deep state. I talked about Millie Weaver and her husband Gavin. Millie Weaver's investigative reporter. They do documentary stuff. They have connections to whistleblowers. Everyone's saying that, oh, where's the truth? Where's the truth? Where's the evidence about election fraud? Where's the evidence about this and that, this and that? People have it. People know it. You're just not looking for it because you're talking, you're saying it, but do you actually want to know this information? because some things you can find out will shock you to your core, and it will disrupt your perception of reality, and not everybody is prepared to handle that. Not everybody wants to have that in their lifetime. Not everybody wants to deal with that. The perception of reality that, hey, everything is not what it seems. And that kind of scares people, that it cannot be what it seems like. And you have to come to the realization, like, you don't know shit. That's why I say, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, because clearly there's a whole world going on that I have no clue. I have no clue. And even when I think I know some things, I still don't know shit. I don't know anything about the world and how it really operates. I don't know anything about the universe. I don't know anything about ancient history. I don't know anything about anything, because everything I've been taught has only been a half truth at best. Do we actually know how the dinosaurs disappeared? Was it really an asteroid? How long have human beings actually been on this planet? Were Adam and Eve the first people? There's a lot of questions that we all think is kind of odd, that some shit doesn't make sense, but we're too afraid to go into it. We're too afraid to dig into it. I want to show you guys this video. Talk about being prepared. I act like I'm trying to be prepared, and then I fucking forget something still. So I want to show you guys this video before we go into the next topic, which is the Equality Act. Let's see. Should be under my history, right? Yeah, 'cause I watched it this morning. I got Ted Cruz talking there to CPAC. So I wanted to show you guys this. I know I talked about it before, but as far as Yuri Bezmenov, I know I did an episode on the podcast about it. Obviously, I don't remember, because I don't remember shit. But here's a video from 1984. Mr. And I just want to show you guys this, because as we go into the next topic about the Equality Act, when I say things are done by design, it's not like it's not just me saying some wild conspiracy stuff. Like, no, things are literally done by design. This is gonna be my new phrase. I gotta put this on a t-shirt or something. Like, they're playing a different game than we're playing. They're just doing this. They're just on a different level than us. And that's because we're not paying attention, and they're not hiding it. It's right in your face. They just know that we're easily distracted. Like a little kitten seeing a mouse, or like when my cat sees a bird land in the backyard, she runs to the back porch window or porch door, the sliding door. She's like, "Oh, bird!" Takes off. That's literally what human beings are like now. Oh, look at this. Oh, forgot completely what I was doing.
Bezmenov was born in 1939 in a suburb of Moscow. He was the son of a high-ranking Soviet Army officer. He was educated in the elite schools inside the Soviet Union and became an expert in Indian culture and Indian languages. He had an outstanding career with Novosti, which was and still is, I should say, the press arm or the press agency of the Soviet Union. It turns out that this is also a front for the KGB. He escaped to the West in 1970 after becoming totally disgusted with the Soviet system, and he did this at great risk to his life. He certainly is one of the world's outstanding experts on the subject of Soviet propaganda and disinformation and active measures. Well, you spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand.
Ideological subversion. And this is something I've seen probably years ago, but I wasn't ready to understand what it meant. So when this kind of resurfaced last summer, it was like, oh man, I remember this. And then I was like, oh shit, I get it now. I finally get it. I collect enough information, and hindsight is 2020. All this stuff has been going on by design for decades, through generations.
When the Soviets use the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means.
Psychological warfare. You're psychological operations, your psyop.
To change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country.
Sensible conclusions.
It's a
logic. Sensible conclusions. Logic. Logic. Logic.
brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in four basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy,
Students.
exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students.
So
Without-
Marxism. We talk about Black Panther Party. Yeah, they were trying to do some good and stuff where everything sounds good. Everything has good intentions. That's the whole point. It's supposed to sound good, but you don't understand the logical aspects behind it. It happened to me. It happened to all of us. We all been played. We all been lied to. It's okay. There's no big deal because they're playing a different game than what we're playing, because we're coming from the regular people where we just want to do our jobs, whatever the case may be left alone. And they know that because they play on our emotions. Because, oh, you don't want to be a bigot. You don't want to be racist. You don't want to do this. So glad go along with this. Well, yeah, I just want to have an open mind. I just want to take things, I don't want to take things as they are, I want to, make sure I'm not being a bad person. There you go. There you go. You want to make sure that you're not being a bad person. You don't want to be a bad person. You don't want to be a hateful person. But some things are illogical. It's not about emotions. The shit just doesn't make sense.
Being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already.
And this is
For the
1984.
last 25 years. Actually, it's overfulfilled because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of...
By Americans to Americans. When we talked about Gina Carano and her image, I showed you guys the image that she posted and said how Nazi Germany was taken over. It wasn't just by force, it was by psychological means. And it wasn't just the soldiers and the police coming in, it was neighbors doing it to each other. What we have going on in this country right now, everybody's calling everyone a racist, a transphobic, a homophobic, all these different names that are irrational by definition, because you can't be transphobic if you hate transgender. That phobia means a fear of something, an irrational fear of something. If you don't like transgenders, it doesn't mean you have a fear of them. You just don't agree with what they're doing. That's it. And then you don't like the person that the person is. Well, you don't like that person, that individual. So as Gina Carano shared that post, that's exactly what's going on. Americans are doing to other Americans because we have been programmed.
Standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore.
Facts don't matter.
A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him.
Yeah, you can argue, oh, well, this is a guy, former KGB, probably a double agent, let's be honest. But you can say, oh, he's a former KGB, this and that, blah, blah, and, this is disinformation, and blah, blah. Once again, during that time, I would be like, okay, yeah. No, this shit is older than me. This shit is older than me. I was born in 87. This is older than me. And look how much it applies to now. Hell, it applied to people during that time if they look back in the past as well. This is hilarious, man.
Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it. until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his balls, then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization.
Emotion versus logic. Some facts don't matter to certain people, man. They just want to feel good. But facts don't care about feelings.
Next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation, what matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems.
That's it. That's it.
And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world, that the process will go that fast. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis.
Crisis, almost like COVID-19 pandemic. Crisis. We talked about the Great Reset, how the COVID-19 pandemic brought in the need for a great reset because we see that a lot of our infrastructures are outdated. Problem, reaction, solution.
In Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely.
Your quote-unquote new normal. Oh, we need to get to a new normal. Hey, well, you wearing masks and stuff like that, that's a new normal. Social distancing, 20% capacity, new normal. You need this vaccination in order to travel. Global ID passports. Your new normal.
Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda. When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, "Now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized." This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth.
Promise everybody all the goodies in paradise of earth. Communism, socialism, Bernie Sanders, Yang. I fell for them a little bit because, oh yeah, there's enough money because money don't exist anyway. They're making shit out their ass, so there's enough money for everybody to go to college and stuff like that, and got played because it sounds good. But when you actually think about it, because there's times when I was like, you know what, this shit sounds good, but let me actually think about it. And I sat down, I thought about it, I was like, this doesn't make sense at all. There's no way this financially makes sense. There's no way it financially works. This is why they don't teach us money in school, because the shit is made up. And if you realize and understood money and how made up it is, and then you'll be like, oh man, what's going on? There's something completely different that's going on than what you think of. So you have a Joe Biden administration and Kamala Harris and whoever else, all the Democrats saying, oh, we're going to give this, we're going to take away this, we're going to give you these checks. It all sounds good. But does it logically make sense?
To destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put
eliminate the principles of free market. I know I keep pausing every step of the way because I'm trying to give you real world events that we already covered on this podcast. The illusion of free market. GameStop, stocks. When Wall Street bets, the retail investors say, oh, we're going to push this up. And then Wall Street and the government is like, oh, no, we can't allow this to happen. Oh, I'm sorry. Thought this shit was a free market. Yes, you realize it's not a free market. It's all controlled.
Big brother government in Washington, D.C., with benevolent dictators like Walter Mondale, who will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfillable or not.
Biden.
Your leftists in United States, all
Leftists.
these professors and all these beautiful civil rights defenders.
All this stuff, civil rights defenders, leftists, all these things being taught at universities, high schools, middle schools, elementary, Indoctrination.
They are instrumental in the process of the subversion only to destabilize the nation. When their job is completed, they are not needed anymore. They know too much. Some of them, when they get disillusioned, when they see that Marxist-Leninists come to power, obviously they get offended. They think that they will come to power. That will never happen, of course. They will be lined up against the wall and shot.
Your Black Lives Matter. You see that they're kind of pissed off in the past month or so since your so-called Biden inauguration. They're like, oh, how come Joe Biden is not doing this? How come President Biden is not helping us out? How come this and that? Because they don't care about you. Your Antifa groups, they don't care about you. They don't care about none of these people. Proud Boys is set up. All these so-called extremist groups, they all happen to do the same thing. They're not grassroots. And even if they are grassroots organization, it doesn't matter. They will be infiltrated and they'll be taken down from within. Black Panther Party, White Panther Party, Ku Klux Klan, name a group, it happens to it. Proud Boys. I never even thought about it, but it's something that goes along with Millie Weaver's documentary and stuff. As I was seeing on Tori Says show, I was always give credits where I get this stuff from. So I'm letting you guys know, it doesn't just come out of nowhere. There's so-called almost 8 billion people on the planet. Someone somewhere has already thought of this shit. You just gotta find them. But if you open yourself up to that law of attraction, don't worry, it'll come to you. This is why you're listening to me now. Because you're trying to figure out what the fuck is going on, just like me. But you have these different groups and stuff, and they're used only for one thing. Because if you have a Proud Boys, then you need a Black Lives Matter or an Antifa. Or if you have an Antifa, then you have a Proud Boys. Your polarity, your opposite ends of the spectrum, your opposing sides, your opposition, your manufactured, controlled opposition, they'll get infiltrated. It doesn't matter if it sounds good or if it feels good. It doesn't matter because some people are playing one game and then there's another group playing a whole separate, completely different game. Because one is emotional, meanwhile the other one is logical thinking. That also goes with your brain too, where one is creative and one is more black and white in a sense of analytical, logical, rationale as you break down different things. We got to find a balance of those. But logic seems to have left the building decades ago in America. I mean, even before I was born, logic seems to be long gone.
But they may turn into the most bitter enemies of Marxist-Leninists when they come to power. And that's what happened in Nicaragua. You remember most of these former Marxist-Leninists were either put to prison or one of them split and now he's working against Sandinistas. It happened in Grenada when Maurice Bishop was already a Marxist. He was executed by a new Marxist who was more Marxist than this Marxist. Same happened in Afghanistan when first there was Taraki, he was killed by Amin, then Amin was killed by Babrak Karmal with the help of KGB. Same happened in Bangladesh when Mujibur Rahman, very pro-Soviet leftist, was assassinated by his own Marxist-Leninist military comrades. It's the same pattern everywhere. The time bomb is ticking with every second. The disaster.
All he is letting you know exactly what's going on. That's all he did. Showing you that it happened in America. It's happening in all these countries around the world. We as Americans are so cocky, overconfident, and naive, thinking, it can't happen to us. Nah, we're in the land of the free. It can't happen to us. Meanwhile, every generation, more laws are created. Laws, everywhere you go. Laws. Can't cross the street unless you're crossing at a crosswalk. Otherwise, it's jaywalking. So if somebody comes by and hits you, guess what? You was committed a law. So that car that hit you, they're not responsible for it because you're supposed to cross at a crosswalk. Laws after laws after laws after laws, man. Let's see. I'm gonna keep this YouTube page up. This is another video I want to show you guys. So we have an article here from Fox 13, which is just Fox. It says House passes Equality Act, which come on. I was going to say, my computer just froze up. So it says the bill passed a vote. The bill passed by a vote of 224 to 206, with 3 Republicans joining Democrats in voting yes. The Equality Act amends existing civil rights law to explicitly include sexual orientation and gender identification as protected characteristics. The protections would extend to employment, housing, loan applications, education, public accommodations, and other areas. Supporters say the law before the House on Thursday is long overdue and would ensure that every person is treated equally under the law. It all sounds good, right? All this sounds good. Everything sounds good about it. Yeah, we want Equality Act. Yeah, give the name Equality Act. It's like, how can you go against the Equality Act? What are you talking about? This is all about equality. Everyone should want this. So obviously they set it up for, if you dispute it, then you sound like a jackass. You sound like an asshole. You sound like a hateful, spiteful person, which I'm about to be because I dispute this. And somebody's going to be pissed off. I hope you do get pissed off. Because it seems to be when human beings are angry, they tend to get motivated. And when they tend to use that anger for motivation, they kind of find themselves looking for logical explanations to what they're trying to solve, because you can't use emotions to find an answer to a solution that can only be found through logical reasoning. Let's see. It says the Supreme Court provided the LGBTQ community. I can't believe they had an acronym. I did a whole episode about how foolish and stupid these acronyms are, and these labels and this group identity. That's all it is. That's why I don't like group think identity. I'll get more into that when I show you guys what the actual bill the act says itself. Resounding victory last year in a 6-3 ruling that said the Civil Rights Act 1964 applied to LGBTQ workers when it comes to bearing discriminations on the basis of sex. Duh. Why you actually need a Supreme Court ruling for that? And you're thinking, oh yeah, because we need it. We need it. Right? That's what you're thinking. We need it. Civil rights groups have encouraged Congress to follow up that decision and ensure the anti-bias protections addressing such areas as housing, public accommodations, and public services are applied in all 50 states. So here's an article from Fox 13, but we're going to actually look at the actual bill or act itself. So, Republicans David Cicilline, Democrat, like from Rhode Island, nobody lives there. House Judiciary, Education and Labor, Financial Services, Oversight and Reform, House Administration, Senate Judiciary. That's the committee that he's on. And his last action was to the Senate, which is May 20th, 2019, received in the Senate and read twice and referred. Damn, I'm getting these calls in the middle of the podcast. It's crazy. Received in the Senate and read twice and referred to the Committee on the Judiciary. You know what? That's not a coincidence, man. I constantly get calls during the podcast. Maybe it's just the middle of the day. Maybe I shouldn't have said CIA. Maybe I shouldn't have said that shit, right? I shouldn't have said that. CIA created Bitcoin. Fuck that. I don't give a shit. I didn't create the shit. Don't get mad at me for the shit that they did. And that's just me speculating. I have no evidence of that. I just, use my critical thinking skills. That's it. It's kind of odd with a lot of things. So here you have H.R.5 in the Senate of the United States, May 2019, received, read twice, and referred to the Committee on the Judiciary, an act to prohibit discrimination on the basis of sex, gender identity, and sexual orientations, and for other purposes. That right there, I don't like. Because we talked about it before, when the government is not specific on something and they leave it up to broad, generic terms, that means They're going to fill it in with whatever they want to fill it in at whatever time they feel like filling it in. So when it says, and for other purposes, I'll read that again, to prohibit discrimination on the basis of sex, gender identity, and sexual orientation, and for other purposes. What the fuck does other purposes mean? That is too broad. That is too generic. I don't like that. That needs to be taken out. But guess what? It's not going to be, because it's there for a reason. I'll be shocked if it's taken out. It's literally there for a reason. I mean, it passed in the House, in the lower house of Congress, the House of Representatives. So there you go. It lets you know that they're okay with this. It's there for a reason. But it's little things like, one, these people don't fucking read none of this shit. They might have an intern or somebody on the payroll that might read it, but they don't read it. They're not reading it. And then even that intern or whoever's on the payroll is highlighting whatever and stuff that they think is cool. Or they're not reading this shit. They're not reading this. And for other purposes, because the basis of sex, gender identity, and sexual orientation. If we're talking about the LGBTQ community, what else is there? Gender identity. What does that mean? So if I identify as any gender, whenever I feel like identifying as a certain gender, then I can't be discriminated against? Well, isn't that the same thing, not being discriminated against your sex? Why is discrimination a bad thing? Discrimination makes sense, right? Before I even say that, let me see the definition of discrimination. I spelled that all wrong. Oh, no, I didn't. So Merriam-Webster's dictionary or definition of discrimination: discriminating among meanings of discrimination. Discrimination has senses with neutral, positive, and negative connotations. Like I said, just because it's discriminating, does that actually mean it's negative? You think I just sat here and told you guys that. I didn't need a dictionary to figure that out. It's critical thinking. It's simple critical thinking, the shit that they discourage in school. Meanwhile, this Wikipedia definition says discrimination is the act of making unjustified distinctions between human beings based on the groups, classes, or other categories that which they are perceived to belong. Guess what? Groups, classes, and other categories, it's all made up. They don't exist. Outside of a male and female, because I was talking to my son last night, like, hey, you have a penis. Your sister has a vagina. That's it, bro. There's nothing you can do about that. How do you not know that you didn't choose your gender before you was even born? How do you not know that you were not a male or a female in a different lifetime? You think this is your first time being a human? You really think this is your first time being a human? You think everyone alive right now, this is their first time being a human? If energy is never destroyed nor created, it just exists. It just always is. And we are beings of energy. We are conscious beings of energy. So energy is just transferred. What makes you actually think this is your first time being a human being? How do you know you weren't a dog before? See how you could take all religions. What we're talking about right now is reincarnation. We're talking about Hinduism. That's what we're talking about. Mixed with some, I want to say Buddhism in it as well. But different religious or spirituality ideologies around the world speaks of being something else. It's funny because in Christianity, when you die and go to heaven, did you actually die? Or did you just stop being a human being? You just went from the energy transformance of one life form of conscious being to another transformance or energy transferring to another life form of a conscious being. Does anyone ever think about these things? Well, my daughter always says, Dad, stop, you're making my brain hurt. It's too much, Dad. You don't want to think about these things right now. But that's exactly what it is. It's like there's a literal mental block, a place upon us where we don't want to think about these things. And trust me, I know the feeling because there's so many times when I'm like, oh shit, I don't want to think about this. But you have to push through it. You have to push through it because that's your own consciousness saying, yeah, we got to push through it because we probably really need to focus on what is going on here. So it doesn't have a positive or negative. It doesn't matter. Discrimination, you're going to discriminate. I can't be a I got discriminated in high school for trying to play basketball, literally. Literally. I went from one high school to another high school, and I tried for the basketball team, and then I didn't make it. So I went and talked to the coach. This is where I kind of gained my confidence and grabbed my own nutsack and grew up and became mature. And my dad was like, hey, if you don't know why you didn't make the basketball team, you need to go speak to him. Go speak to that coach. So, I pulled up my big boy pants and I went and spoke to the coach. And he said, hey, you were decent and stuff. And, you were working out with us, because I let you work out with us because your dad came up there and talked to me and stuff like that, which is stupid. That has nothing to do with anything. But he said what the real reason was. He just said it in a nice manner so it didn't like hurt my feelings or something like that. Because his real reason was, I was like 5'6", 5'7", maybe. Yeah, I should have been 5'7" with shoes on at that point in time. He was like, you're not that big and stuff. I already got some guys around your size with some speed. Oh, so he discriminated. He discriminated against me based on my physical characteristics. Because my mindset for the game of basketball far exceeds people of my age at that time and still does because I literally studied basketball my whole life. I understand the concepts and things. I look at ancient history. I look at the history of basketball when it was made. I watch NBA classic games and stuff. Like I broken down, I was writing basketball plays or creating basketball plays and breaking down zone defenses when I was in the 6th grade. Because I just love the game. And I see it from a mental aspect of the game. But it doesn't matter because he discriminated against me due to my physical characteristics. How many of us so-called athletes out there are like, oh man, if I was a little bit taller, I would have made it? Because that's actually what it comes down to. If you're a little bit taller, you would have made it. Or if someone would have not necessarily discriminated against you because of your physical attributes. But that discrimination, is that positive? Is that negative? Or is that neutral? Because if you're playing in a basketball game and the people that you're playing against got 7 foot tall people, you kind of want to have somebody to kind of match up with that 7 foot tall person. You can't have a team full of 6 feet and under if the teams you're playing in your district are all 6'5" and over, right? That's discrimination. But we act like it's a bad thing. That's discrimination. So you got to actually think about these things that are being talked about. So when it says for other purposes, I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? This does not need to be broad. It needs to be specific because you already have the Civil Rights Act. Let's see. I know there's a paragraph that I wanted to read that talked about Civil Rights Act. I think it's this first one. Let's kind of read some of these different things. So it says Section 2, the findings and purpose. Congress finds the following. 1, discrimination can occur on the basis of the sex, sexual orientation. No, my fault. I was looking at a notification on my phone from Twitter. So it says, discrimination can occur on the basis of the sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or pregnancy, childbirth, or a related medical condition of an individual, as well as because of sex-based stereotypes. What the fuck? So, here's a scenario. Say you're pregnant. You're a woman that's pregnant. Say you're about 4 months pregnant. And you want to do a job that's more or less more demanding physically, where you got to lift 50, 60 pounds every day on a daily basis. Those even there's a good amount of jobs out there that require you to lift X amount of pounds on a daily basis. And obviously, you at 4 months pregnant might be able to do it, but you at 6, 7 months pregnant, and you're looking for this job, and you're not asking for your maternity leave or none of that stuff, and you go to do this. Even better, even more so, say you are 4 months pregnant, 3 months pregnant, something like that, and it's a real strenuous job. You as I know it's kind of a it's not the best analogy, but you as a business owner, would you hire that woman? No, fucking no. You know you wouldn't. Because you're like, man, yeah, you might like this person, but you're more concerned about the baby. You're more concerned about the child. You don't want no issues. You don't want anything to happen to that child. Also, as far as the mother, we know how during women's pregnancy, they can have good moments and they can have bad moments where they're going to have different things and stuff. And if it's one job where, okay, this woman can sit down majority of the time, notice I said woman because, even if you're a man identifying as a woman, you still can't give birth. That's why it's identity. I can identify as a fucking tree if I feel like it. Doesn't make me a tree. Oh my God. Oh my God. I hope I pissed somebody off because this is funny, man. It's funny. Like I said, you can be wherever you want to be. I'm not going to infringe on your rights stuff, but hey, I'm sorry, the shit you talk about doesn't make sense, man. There's no logic behind it. You get mad if you want to. There's no logic behind it. You have the polarity spectrum. You have the male and the female. And what's in between, who the fuck knows? That's the thing. But you can't just be, you have a dick. I have a dick and balls. You understand that? You understand that? My sexual organs are outside of my body. This is not being hateful. This is just me telling you my dick and balls are outside my body. So my underwear is different than a woman whose sexual organs are inside her body. I don't have a fallopian tube. I don't have eggs dropping. I don't bleed out my asshole. And if I do, guess what? It's hemorrhoids or something else is going on. I probably should get that shit checked out. A woman bleed once a month. It's her menstrual cycle. Notice the word cycle. It means it happens often. It's a cycle. You can identify as wherever you want, but you made that choice. And people are like, oh, I didn't choose to be this way. But you did. You did. You can control certain things and some things you can't control. But take ownership in the things that you can control. Oh, but I feel this way. Well, if you feel that way, then that's your choice to feel that way. Or that's your choice to accept that you feel that way, whatever the case may be. I'm not going to infringe on your personal liberties. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. But understand that it's also someone's right to say, I don't necessarily like this. I don't agree with what you're doing and stuff. But hey, I do have a job for you. Can you do this job? Because we know when it comes down to money, no one gives a fuck. Especially in today's world, because this is where we live at now in the current moment, right? In today's world, I don't care what you got going on in your lifestyle. It's interesting because sexual orientation actually means nothing unless you talk about it publicly. Do y'all know whether or not I'm gay? Unless I tell you. Oh, obviously, I've talked about dating women and I want to be with a woman and stuff like that. So I'm not. But at the same time, if I never mention any relationship or any talk about sex or any mention of sex, you would have no idea what my sexual orientation is. So if I go to the job and if I don't tell you whether or not I'm straight or homosexual or bisexual or transsexual or not transsexual, pansexual or asexual or whatever different category they're trying to make up that doesn't make sense, if I don't tell you that, you will never know. Oh my God. Go back to the scenario of a pregnant woman. You're not going to hire a pregnant woman to do a certain physical labor job. You're not going to have a pregnant woman, throwing crates and cartons and stuff back in the stock room and stuff. And if you do, or the woman is already hired and is pregnant, guess what? Now you're going to transition that woman to somewhere else where it's less strenuous on her body because you want to be responsible for, I don't know, her having a miscarriage, because that happens, right? When women go through a lot of stress, and no matter what period, trimester they're in, they can have too much stress put on the body and lose the baby. Because in order for the baby to survive, the woman has to take care of herself. I mean, you can call a baby a parasite if you want to. I know people, that might sound kind of fucked up, but I mean, the baby is feeding off of the woman, the host. But guess what? That's also a choice to get pregnant. Oh my God. That's a choice. It's a choice. Obviously, unless you're raped, duh. It's things like that too, because people are like, oh, what about this and this and that? Well, statistics show that that makes an obscure small amount of what's going on anyways. So it's sex, the basis of sex, but isn't that already covered in the Civil Rights Act? So the second one says a single instance of discrimination may have more than one basis. For example, discrimination against a married same-sex couple could be based on the sex stereotype that marriage should only be between heterosexual couples. The sexual orientation of the two individuals in the couple are both. Discrimination against a pregnant lesbian could be based on her sex, her sexual orientation, her pregnancy, or on the basis of multiple factors. Fuck. Just because they can string a bunch of words together does not mean it makes sense. You understand that, right? Because if you read that and if you read it yourself, if you choose to read it yourself, or you just listen to me read it right now, and you're like, I don't really get that, because it doesn't make sense. That's it, man. It doesn't make sense. Discrimination against a pregnant lesbian could be based on her sex, her sexual orientation, her pregnancy, or on the basis of multiple factors. Once again, discrimination is not positive, not negative. It could be neutral as well. So really, you need to determine why someone is being discriminated against first and foremost on a case-by-case basis, because you, the individual, is the smallest minority group that there is in existence in the human species. You, the individual. But see, that's why I don't like these labels, these categories, this groupthink. Because once you apply to a certain group, then they're saying, oh, well, because you're a lesbian, and oh, when you go to work and so that, and you lost your job, well, were you fired because you're a lesbian? That shouldn't even cross anybody's mind. The first thing should be, hey, what happened to you at work? Were you doing some other things, or did they were they planning on firing you behind the scenes just to know about it? Did they try to help you? Did you try to correct your behavior? Why are you not focusing on the actual actions of the person and the individual first? They want you to be everything in the world other than who you are. Let's use me as an example, right? I talked about before, I voted for Trump. I also voted for Obama, right? I have tattoos, right? I'm in my early 30s or my mid 30s. I have tattoos. I have earrings, correct? I'm a single father. I'm a black male. So I'm a black male single father. So I have a fucking cat, right? I talked about I don't have sex. I don't have no woman in my life that I date or have any physical intimacies with. What category do I fit into? What label can you put me in? Oh, well, he's black. Oh, he's a single parent. So now I identify as a black single parent. What do I fall under as? Is it asexual or something where you don't have any intimate relationships because you choose not to? Something I know I broke it down with the acronym and stuff in one of the episodes. So, what category do I fit into? Am I a Trump supporter? Oh, now you have a Trump supporter who's a straight, heterosexual, single parent, black male who has a cat. I mean, a single male having a cat is kind of gay, right? Oh, you know what? Me listening to, I don't know, K-pop, Blackpink, Police is my favorite. Me listening to pop songs and singing and stuff, kind of gay, right? This is stupid, man. These are things where it's funny. I'm not gonna lie, it's funny to make fun of. I'm making fun of myself, calling myself gay. It's funny to me because it's fun because I know it's not true. That's what makes it so funny. And it's also irrational and illogical because people think that this makes sense. So I'm just making fun of the shit that doesn't make sense. That's it. And it's funny when people say jokes to me that doesn't make sense. I'm like, this is stupid. If you're gonna make a joke, you make it clever. Do something, or at least satire. A lot of my jokes are satire. I'm obviously a super sarcastic person. It's hard to tell when I'm being serious and when I'm not. Guess what? That's kind of the whole point, because I think it's fucking funny that you don't know what I actually mean sometimes. So, with this whole group thinking, these placing these labels on people, when you say, "Oh, I'm this, I'm that," if you say anything more than who you are, the individual, you're already putting a label on yourself, and you're denying yourself your own individuality. Such a crazy concept. But when you say, "Oh, I'm a black man," this, or I'm a proud Republican, or I'm a great Democrat, I'm a liberal, I have this and that, or I'm a libertarian, whatever the case may be, you are putting yourself aligned into a group. Because that's how other people see things. Because they can't see you, the individual. All they see is, oh, well, this person said that they're this, so they go along with all the other people in part of this group. I don't like groupthink. I don't like labels. I don't like categories because I cannot be categorized. I cannot be labeled. You cannot put me into your box of ideological beliefs or categories that you think go along with these so-called physical attributes. I am me. That's it. I am me. I am a name. I have a name that my parents gave me that I said, yeah, I kind of like this name. I'll stick to it. But even my name still does not define me. It just helps you kind of talk to me amongst a crowd of people. But who I am, the individual, will always be the biggest and main part about me. I am just comfortable in my own skin because I don't understand how I should not be. I don't think of me as, oh, maybe I'm too dark skinned. Maybe I'm a little bit lighter here in certain areas of my body, or maybe I was a little bit taller and this and that. I just see myself as me. Like, this is who I am. This is my body. In my mindset, I chose to be this way. Maybe because I got a complex, a God complex. I'm like, nah. I made these choices. This is me. I'll take full responsibility. I fucked up. I messed up. No, this is my body. I chose to be this small. I chose to be this skinny. Like, I chose to be this skin color. Me. I did it. Because in my mindset, if I did it, then I have no one to blame for other than me. And I can accept the responsibility and I can accept the blame because that means I have some type of control. That means I have some type of free will. And I still don't even know if free will exists. So I have to, for me, my own premise in my own mind, like I have to, I don't know, premise is probably not a good word to use, but I have to see it as this is me. It's all in my own existence. I'm in my own reality. And I'm projecting it out to the rest of the world or to the rest of the illusion of reality, this physical illusion. So all these different categories didn't do nothing but just fuck with people's head. Because you know what I really think this is all about? And I'll read some more of these little these little findings, whatever they have in this act. What I really think all this is about? Pedophilia. Yeah, I know I'm not the first one to say that. Definitely not. But they're trying to normalize pedophilia. Because if you allow kids to change their gender at a young age, then you're saying kids can determine sexual orientation, sexual identity, sex. Because that's the next step. We're just right there. We're on the edge of saying, oh, well, yeah, a kid can determine whether or not they want to have sex because they can determine their sexual identity and their sexual orientation at a young age. And that means they can determine whether or not they want to have sex. Oh, it's right there. It's right there around the corner. This is what we're opening the door to. Just because it sounds good doesn't mean it makes logical sense when we're talking about the species. Not just a nation, but we're talking about the species, the human species, the Homo sapiens sapien. Anybody can do whatever they want to do. You want to be a transgender, you want to say you're a male even though you're in a female's body, you can say all the shit that you want to. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna physically hurt you. I'm not gonna physically harm you. I'm not gonna threaten to harm you. I'm not gonna threaten to take away your liberty. I'm not gonna try to enforce my liberties onto you or enforce or use some physical force to take away your liberties, wherever the case may be. I'm not trying to steal nothing from you. I'm not trying to beat you down. I'm not trying to rob you. I'm not trying to kill you. And we could just operate in a public spectrum because I don't care if you hate me because I'm black or because of this or because of that. You can hate me at home. I don't care if you got a Ku Klux Klan hood in your closet. That's cool. When you come outside and engage in public affairs with the rest of us, you need to show some goddamn respect. That's it. That's all we're asking for. Really, there should be no laws on this. We need to look at ourselves internally and look at ourselves, the overall arcing human species, and say, hey, what are we doing here? We need to treat each other better in a public forum. You can go home and hate me all you want to. You can go home and say, man, Damien's such a nigger at work. I fucking hate this nigger. Okay, cool. When you come back to work, you can be like, hey, you need to do this. Okay. That's it. That's all we care about. That's all we care about. When we're at school, hey, you need to help on this project. All right. And if somebody be like, oh man, you know he's a racist, he hate black people. I don't care. Actually, I believe that actually happened to me in high school. People just tell me, "Oh, you know that person hates black people. Oh, you know that person hates that." I'm like, I don't care. He ain't coming at me with that shit. He ain't coming at me that way. He didn't come at me sideways. He ain't disrespecting me. It's like, oh man, I swear he hates black people. Oh, dude, that's doesn't treat me that way. Well, he treated me that way. Well, it sounds like that's a problem with you. Because as me and one of my close friends, one of my best friends, we had a conversation. We was talking like, if you put us in a room, or he was saying, if you put me in a room with a Ku Klux Klan member or something like that, I guarantee they won't hate me. Of course they won't, man. Of course they won't, because they're going off a group think. They're going off a group think. How can you hate or despise someone that you don't even know? Because at the end of the day, it comes down to the individual. It comes down to the individual. I might not agree with you being homosexual. I had tons. Oh my God, I can't say tons. I had gay friends throughout my life, even at childhood age and through high school and stuff. And I have helped those gay friends come out and be more comfortable in their skin. Cause I'm like, hey, I don't, and I tell everybody straight up, like, I'm be honest, like, hey, I don't necessarily agree with it and stuff, but I get how some people are and stuff, and whatever, that's your choice. I don't necessarily like that. It's like, as long as you don't try to hit on me, we're cool. And these are male gay counterparts, gay friends, gay coworkers and stuff. I'm like, hey, as long as you don't try to touch me or think you're gonna try to fuck me, we're good. And they always laugh at it. But I'm like, I'm serious. Like, oh no, because if you're not gay, why would I be attracted to you? I was like, I mean, that makes too much sense to me. But yeah, I get it. And I had these conversations. And I help people come out to their families and talk to them and be there and be support for them. It doesn't matter. And I tell everybody I don't actually agree with it. It is what it is. I can empathize and I can see why certain people would be that way and whatnot. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. If you want to identify as a male or identify as a female, that's not a bad thing. But I'm gonna let you know that's all you can do is identify, because your dick and balls is still there, bro. Your vagina is still there. Don't get mad at me. I didn't do it. I didn't fucking create humans. Don't get mad at me. I'm just telling you what's there. That's a good thing to think of, polarity, because the universal law of rhythm. You swing from male to female spectrum. Guess what? You die. You go from male, and next thing you know, you die, and you get reincarnated, and all of a sudden you're a female human being. Now you get to experience different ends of the spectrum. I just let it go, man. So when we talk about discrimination and equality act and stuff like that, like, one, we're making laws for things that you can't make people be good. I know, it sounds crazy, but you can't actually force someone to be good in a sense of what we think of as good, where you need to love everybody and treat everybody with respect. You can't force that upon people, because that's also their right to be a dickhead. That's also their right to be a hateful asshole. That's their right. You don't want to encourage, if you want equality, guess what? That's what equality actually means. If they have a right to not like you based on your lifestyle, that's their right. If you have a right to do the things you want to based on your lifestyle, they have a right to not like you. I get what these laws are trying to do. Once again, it sounds good, but at the same time, we can't always just use laws to force things upon people. We need to sit down and have conversations with each other. We sit down and say, hey, let's agree to disagree. I don't necessarily like what you're talking about. I don't think you can actually ever be a female, but if you feel that way and you say and you're confident and that's how you feel, then that's how you feel. Who am I to tell you anything otherwise? And then it's also a conversation we can have, like, hey, is this how you actually feel? Or, were you told that do you align yourself with this group think? So take my daughter, for example, or take any daughter, take any female, for example, because plenty of girls that play sports. So there's always this kind of stereotype where a young female, she playing sports and running around with the boys, she's a tomboy, which I don't know why, because being athletic, being physical, that's just a human thing. My cat has to do wraps around my house because she got to move around and stuff. They need physical movement. Everybody needs physical movement. It's called, taking care of your body, being healthy. Yes, yes, yes. Another wild concept. Relax, Damien. You're making too much fucking sense. Cool. I got it. So you have young females, young women who are playing sports, and we constantly get thrown into these or they get thrown into these stereotypes where if they're playing sports, they're gonna be gay. They're gonna be lesbian, which I don't understand how gay and lesbian goes about. Gay doesn't even necessarily mean homosexual. So when you say something's gay, you're just calling a man kind of feminine, fruity, fake stuff, whatever. That is gay. Like, doesn't necessarily mean he's homosexual. Just means adding kind of what we deem feminine in modern society, wherever the case may be. But some shit is meant for women because society, we all agree that it's meant for fucking women. I had a conversation with my daughter, talking, well, you know, what so her brother, he wants to wear a dress. I'm like, why do we want to wear a dress? Why are you saying that? But what if he did? I'm like, dresses are not designed for a male's body. We don't have the same hips. We don't have the same pelvic bone structure as a female because we don't give birth. I will not, there's nothing down there for me to push a child out of. I don't think I could push a child out of my asshole. I might burst the fuck open and die. Like, women vagina get split during childbirth. For those of you out there who thinking about having kids, this is what's gonna happen. Odds are your shit's gonna split open and rip. Zoop. Sounds painful. I don't want to be a woman because I don't want to deal with those things. I don't want to deal with a menstrual cycle, right? I don't want to give childbirth. I don't want something sucking on my nipples for milk either. There's certain things I don't want to deal with. I don't want to deal with bloatedness. I don't want to do that. And it's crazy because as we have all these different things about discrimination and equality and the LGBT community and all those stuff and transgender, we're completely saying fuck women. I made a video the other day about Mr. Potato Head, and they're talking about Mr. Potato Head is going to be just Potato Head, gender neutral. My first thought was, well, what the fuck about Mrs. Potato Head? We just say fuck her, huh? But then Hasbro came out afterwards, and a couple hours later, it's like, oh, no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. Yeah, because you Mrs. Potato Head, you're trying to have a gender neutral thing, but then you have Mrs. Potato Head just sitting there like, well, what about me? Right? So go back to the scenario. So you have young girls that are playing sports. These young girls that are playing sports, they get caught into the stereotype of if you play sports, you're a tomboy. And if you're a tomboy, guess what? Then you must like girls because boys like girls. I watched this in high school year after year where girls would be playing basketball or be playing some type of sport. And then one minute they're dating a boy and stuff. And then next year, all of a sudden, they're full on stud dyke mode. They're dressing and looking like a boy. Because when you dress and look like a boy, you're trying to attract women in a sense. Not necessarily because, some people might just like those clothing. I'm not even talking about short hair. Hair length that has nothing to do with anything. But I'm talking about there's certain things. And they know. Women know. Like I talk to have friends that are like that. Like, hey, is it this and that? This and that. I ask questions because I'm trying to understand. Oh my God, you mean you can ask a question to someone who's doesn't have the same ideologies with you and stuff and try to understand? You mean you can have a conversation with the individual without being labeled homophobic, transphobic, or wherever the case may be? Yes. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I know society in America doesn't want to tell you that, but yes, you can. You can actually disagree with someone and still respect them and still care about them. It's like we have this stupid not nomenclature, but a stupid idea. What really is forced upon us is by design that just because we disagree doesn't mean we have to hate each other. It doesn't mean that. If a Ku Klux Klan member doesn't like black people, does that mean I have to hate him? Why do I have to hate him? Because he doesn't like black people? Why don't I sit down with him and ask, hey, why don't you like black people? He's like, oh, because, black people do this and this and that. Well, I was like, well, those are stereotypes. Not all black people act the same. What do you mean all black people do act the same? Why you say that? Well, I don't know. This is what black people say. When you watch the TV shows and we watch TV networks like BET and they say, yeah, this is for the black community. Oh, wait a minute. So can you actually get mad at a Ku Klux Klan member for stereotyping and saying all black people act the same when you have TV networks like BET saying, oh, well, this is how the black community responds to things. Groupthink, labels. You put people into categories, and then you get mad when a different group of people say, hey, well, if these people in this group, in this category, are saying they walk, talk, and act the same, well, I don't like the things that they're saying, so I don't like them all. So now can we really be mad at a racist or neo-Nazi person for going along with categories and groupthink when the same so-called black people go along with the same group thinking and categories? We are all not the same. That's the beauty of this human existence. 8 billion people, 8 billion different perspectives. Oh my God, you the individual actually means something. And you the individual can't be discriminated against because we're all different as far as our physical attributes, but as far as our atoms, so we're talking about the atomic and subatomic level, all the atoms the same. Your DNA, everything's the same. Small, extremely small deviations. What the human eye sees and what is actually there are different things. Some people see colors differently, right? So we all don't see the same thing. Some people don't even have depth perception, so they can't even perceive levels of depth. So even from a physical standpoint, we all don't even actually see the same shit. What are we talking about here? Let me finish the scenario. So far as a young girl playing basketball, playing sports in high school, and watching from one year she's dating boys and stuff, and then next year she's into girls, and it's like, and I've seen that happen over and over and over. And when I see things happen over and over and over, obviously it's a trend. And when things are a trend, and this is me in high school thinking, well, if this is a trend, then that means this isn't real. Everybody's just going along with what they think is cool. And over the past decades in my lifetime, and also before, because Yuri Bezmenov just sat there and told you guys, throughout lifetimes, throughout the generation in America and other countries around the world, this has been happening by design. It's all been happening by design. Because when it's trendy, that means it's being manufactured through government and corporations. That's why we see now. Oh, gay this or transgender that. And look. This is from the CDC website, cdc.gov. It says HIV and transgender people. I just want to read this one thing, this one statistic. It says the numbers. A 2017 paper used meta-analysis and synthesized national surveys to estimate that nearly 1 million adults in the United States are transgender. 2017 paper, meta-analysis and synthesized national surveys. They made up shit. Big words just say we made up shit, and we did an analysis on the metadata. We made up shit. 1 million adults are transgender. Do you even think the number should be that high? They should be a small. It should be a small minority, extremely small minority population. That makes it what 0.7% of the population. And then, okay, this website is from the educationweek.org. It says how many transgender children are there, because what they're talking about as far as the Equality Act it goes on to talk about kids. How many transgender people or children are there? It says it right here that about 0.7% of 13 to 17-year-olds living in the United States identify as transgender, some 150,000 teenagers, according to an estimate released in January by the Williams Institute at the University of California, Los Angeles School of Law. The think tank, which researches issues related to sexual orientation and gender identity, based its estimates on statistical modeling rather than direct surveys of children. So break down that paragraph real quick. 0.7% of 13 to 17-year-olds in the United States identify as transgender. 150,000 kids. 150,000 kids. So you can fill up 2 football stadiums with transgender teenagers. Or 2 football stadiums with transgender teenagers. And it says, according to an estimate, meaning we're guessing. You know what estimate means? We're guessing. We're guessing based on some information, so it's not just a wild guess, but it's still a guess. And by the William Institute at the University of California, Los Angeles School of Law. Why is the School of Law doing this? Oh, because they're trying to create laws normalizing pedophilia. It said 13 to 17. Minors. So 13 to 17-year-old can decide whether or not they're going to be transgender. Guess what? You open up the door for sex. Now 13 and 17-year-olds should probably have the same right to choose whether or not they want to have sex. And if you say that's crazy, then it's also crazy for them to determine whether or not they want to be a male or female during the time that they're going through puberty. Pay attention, man. But what is the most disturbing thing about this paragraph on this website is the last little phrase. It says, basis estimates on statistical modeling rather than direct surveys of children. They made the shit up. They're not even trying to use obscure data or switch up the numbers or anything from an actual survey. They didn't even fucking do a direct survey. They just made shit up. Statistical modeling. You made it up based off statistics, based off of whatever information that you're going off of. Statistics, 1 in 100 kids are one in, one in what? 1 in 150? 1 in 15,000, something like that. If my math is all over the place. They're making it up. Say they have that, and then they're like, oh yeah, we use that and put a algorithm and use a computer or an advanced computer, and look, now we have our statistical modeling projection. But this is something that has to do with an individual. Look how they're pushing this on kids. Why are data on transgender students important? The fuck? What do you mean? They're making it seem like it's a actual thing where it's taking over. They give the illusion that it's popular, but it's not. We're talking about something that's not even popular. Just because it's trendy does not mean it's popular in the sense of it's majority of the population or half of the population. No, it's trendy. Just like Twitter, when it has its trender hashtags, they control that. Let's see. Let's look at the definition of trend. Trend from, obviously, once again, Merriam-Webster Dictionary, because that's what people seem to like anyways. Seems to be the mainstay of definitions. Trend definition is a prevailing tendency or inclination. Just a current tendency that we happen to notice. Thefreedictionary.com, trend, synonyms, pronunciation, blah, blah. A general tendency or course of events, a warming trend. So if one minute you see 10 kids in a high school all of a sudden talk about being transgender, next thing you know you see 20 kids in the high school next year. Oh, look, we got a trend going on. Okay, well, those same 10 kids was already there in the high school, so you added 10 more, so now it's a trend. Oh, and now it's popular. Oh man, everybody's going around. Just like I gave you the example when I was in high school of females being transgender and stuff, or not transgender, excuse me, being lesbian and stuff, dating other females. How many times we see females date other females or do whatever things like that, or males doing whatever, bi-curious and college stuff like that, and then they just have that moment in time and that's it. I mean, you can't tell me a lot of things people are just being curious. Like, I was just curious. Yeah, that's it. I was just curious. I don't actually like this stuff. I don't like this stuff. I'll tell you from personal experience, some sexual things I did. I was like, oh, yeah, man, let's try this. And then I'm like, oh, I did not like that at all. It's part of being human, man. It's part of you living the experience. My kids are going to do the same shit. Obviously, I don't want to know about it. I don't want to know about it, but it's gonna go through it. Oh, you mean it's private? It's private. I know. In the world of digital age, of digital information, and social media, it seems like not much is private, but really, a lot of information is still private, minus the government. I mean, the government knows everything. The government knows everything because they got access to all this stuff. But I wanted to. Okay, so this is from the Human Rights Campaign.org, and this says the 1964 Civil Rights Act and the Equality Act. I wanted to show you guys a comparison before I go back to the actual act itself and read some of the other things in it. Because I think there's still one more thing I want to point out. So this is from, okay, it's just from the staff. This is from July 2019. And let's see. I think it was this part. It says in July 1852, Frederick Douglass asked the following question in one of the most prolific essays published: "What is to the slave of 4th of July?" Okay, that's talking about 4th of July, Independence Day, black people, blah, blah, shouldn't celebrate Independence Day, whatever. This July marks the anniversary of 1964 Civil Rights Act. So the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which was created to protect individuals from discrimination based on race/ethnicity, sex, color, religion, and national origin. Sex. So it doesn't matter what gender identity you have, you're being discriminated based on your sex. Because if I discriminate you because if I don't want you working at my job because you're lesbian, I wouldn't know you're lesbian unless you tell me during the job interview. Oh, you can say, oh, well, they discriminated me based on the way I was dressing. You mean your regular clothes? Because who wears a regular clothes to a job interview? What? Because you have short hair and decide to wear a pantsuit for women? Oh, that must mean she's gay. Oh, she's carrying herself in a certain way. She's gay. I don't want to hire gay people. How often does that actually happen? Because money is money. Because the first thing as a business owner, what you're thinking, one, it's bad business. If you're operating on that premise, it's bad business, and you're running your business into the fucking ground. You don't have to worry about doing anything because don't worry, the free market will take care of that. Oh, you mean we the people in a free market and a free society should determine which businesses go up and which businesses go down? If we were in a free market, this concept would actually work, but we're not. Amazon blows up because, well, Amazon has defense contracts with the government. Amazon blows up. All these other corporations, Google. For the longest, you couldn't have YouTube on a government computer. Then all of a sudden, one year, bam, I can watch YouTube at work. For the longest, I can't even have Facebook on a government computer. Next thing you know, all of a sudden, bam, I can check my Facebook at work. I was like, oh yeah, you guys aren't watching this. Once I saw the government allow YouTube and Facebook on government computers, I knew that the government had access to that information. And this is in 2011. Yeah, because when I worked at the gym. So this is in 2011. The 2000. It's not before that. That's how it goes, man. This is how it is. So it says a single act that the act signaled the formal end of segregation and later paved the way for the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Though process has been made since the introduction of this act, 55 years later, there are codified laws and policies in addition to active legislation being introduced to limit and constrict the civil rights and liberties of black and black lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and same gender loving. Fuck? What is same gender loving? What is okay? I know I deviate too much, but this is bothering me. What is same gender loving? Same gender loving? What the fuck? Gender loving. Same gender loving, or SGL, this is from Wikipedia, a term coined for African American use by activist Cleo Menago, is a description for homosexuals and bisexuals in the African American community. It emerged in the early 1900s, in the early 1990s, excuse me, as a culturally affirming African American homosexual identity. Man, come on, man. Come on, guys. Like this can't be this can't be a thing. This can't be a thing. That doesn't even make sense. One, African American is a stupid term because if you are not from Africa, then you're not African American. If you don't have no direct lineage, if you don't know a single person in your family through the generation that is from Africa, you cannot be called African American. In fact, African American is stupid because you don't even hear the terms European American, South American, Asian American is also stupid as well because you are either a nation. You can't go from a continent to a nation in hyphenation. You can't be African, the continent, and then American, the nation, the country. You need to be Nigerian American, Kenyan American, Congo American, South African American. You can't just be Asian American. You need to be Chinese American, Taiwanese American, Japanese American, South Korean American. That's it. So these terms are nonsensical. They're illogical. They make no sense. It just sounds good. Same gender loving. So same gender loving from dictionary.com, sometimes written SGL as a term coined the same definition. Because, okay, so Menago developed the term in the early 1990s. I never heard of this shit in my life. Like, this is literally the first time I ever heard this before. Maybe you can call me ignorant for not knowing, but like I said, I don't know a lot of shit, so this is a reach though, man. Like we're really stretching for this one. This is some Stretch Armstrong shit. This is some Fantastic Four. Damn it, I can't think of his name right now. The main character in Fantastic Four, I can't think of his name. Out here stretching around and stuff, reaching for this shit. Menago developed the term in the early 1990s because he felt other vocabulary for non-heterosexual relationships, different gender loving, if you will, were inadequate for the black experience of sexual identity. You can't tell me that makes sense. You can't argue from a logical standpoint that it makes sense. You can't. Just like Yuri Bezmenov said, facts don't matter. Because someone try to argue this, they'll argue from an emotional standpoint. Logically, this does not make sense. Same gender loving. Same gender loving. So is that not homosexual? But it doesn't say a homosexual relationship. It says a non-heterosexual relationship. But go ahead. Keep going along with this bullshit. Keep going along with all this shit, man. It's stupid, man. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. This is not for the betterment of humanity. This is making up terms, slowly making up terms. We're on the edge of pedophilia. They're literally trying to normalize pedophilia. I didn't want to cover this topic. I really didn't want to cover this topic because I knew it was going to aggravate me. Because I know it doesn't make sense. You could say I was going into this with a biased mindset. Go ahead, but that biased mindset is based on past information. Watching this so-called just be popularized like it's a real legitimate trend when it's not. We're talking about an obscure minority of the population, which really you can even argue like, hey, maybe some of these people just need to sit down and talk and really think about what they're doing, because they're telling you can be anything you want, or you can be a transgender, but how come you just can't be a male that, I don't know, wants to have a cat? What happens when someone is like, oh, well, you seem to like a lot of things. Like, go back to the analogy of young women playing sports. Oh, well, since you play a lot of sports and stuff, that kind of makes you like a boy because you're a tomboy. So if you're a tomboy, then you probably like girls, because women can't like sports. Even though they tell me women can like sports and play sports and just be as equal as men. But then when you have a strong, independent woman who's comfortable about her own sexuality and comfortable in her own skin, such as a Gina Carano, then people, they don't support her. Oh wow, here you go, a strong, independent woman who is engages in a violent sport, a violent sport, and yet she still has a husband, dates men, is heterosexual. Actually, there's a lot of women in MMA who are heterosexual, whose husbands are that way, who date men, and yet they still have their femininity. Hell, Amisha Tate will come out singing Katy Perry, but still beat the shit out of you. Like, you understand that? Ronda Rousey look tough as shit, right? Still has a husband. Yes, you have like a, I can't believe I can't think of her name. She's one of the greatest female, she is the greatest female fighter of all time. Because she done beat the shit out of everybody. I can't think of her name right now, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Bantamweight and featherweight UFC women's champion. But she's gay, right? She's a lesbian, rather. There's nothing wrong with that. She can be that way. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, like, I don't understand why we feel like we have to highlight these things. Like, oh, we need to do this for this community. Nah, man, treat that person with the utmost respect. And the only way you can treat that person with the utmost respect is if you identify them as who they are at their core, the individual. I don't look at a transgender, I don't look at a gay person, I don't look at a straight person, no other way other than who they are as the individual. I make up my own opinions based on who they are as the individual, based on their own characteristics, based on who they actually are. We're going into a category, and this hasn't even anything to do with religion in my mindset. We're going to a category where we're just changing definitions and making shit up. And it's opening the door into some things that we can't, if we go down that road, we can't take it away. We're walking down towards pedophilia, man. You understand that it's already normalized. They're already trying to sexualize young girls. Netflix has that movie Cuties, trying to sexualize young girls. They're going to sexualize young boys soon, probably. If not, they already haven't done it. They open up the door for this stuff. Because if they can determine their sexual orientation at a young age, if they can determine their gender identity at a young age, guess what they also can determine? Whether or not they're going to have sex at a young age. And it's not with another child, it's going to be with an adult. We're opening the door for pedophilia. And that's something we all can agree on should not be done. There's transgenders that say, hey, you know, we shouldn't do this to young kids. Like, there's something they struggle with their whole life and they made a decision as an adult. It's not a decision you make as a child. Sexual orientation, I don't know about that either, too. But, you know, to each their own, then your own household, your own family, because there's a bunch of different factors that go into it. Because you can still argue whether it's genetic or it's by choice. But these are legitimate questions and discussions to have and stuff. And there's nothing wrong. I'm not coming from a place of hate. You understand? I don't hate anybody. Trust me, I don't hate anybody. There's one person I would really dislike, and we know who that is, and I don't hate that person. So if I don't hate that person, I don't hate anybody. I don't like a lot of fucking people, though. Don't get me wrong. I don't like a lot of people, but I don't like people based on who they are, based on the individual, based on their actions. This is some wild shit, man. This is some wild shit. So I show you guys just because of what it says for race, ethnicity, sex, color, religion, and the Civil Rights Act. So if this Equality Act is an amendment to that, then why don't you just throw in gender, sexual orientation, and that's it? You don't need the rest of that. You don't need anything else. How about you just don't discriminate? But you can't say that because discriminate is neither positive, negative, nor neutral. It could be either one depending on the situation. Oh, you mean a case-by-case scenario based on the individual? Oh, yes. Yes, Damien, that's exactly what I mean. Cool. It says, lesbian, gay, bisexual, blah, blah, blah. People commonly experience discrimination in securing access to public accommodations, including restaurants, senior centers, stores, places of establishment that provide entertainment. So I say it has nothing to do with spirituality, religion, but that's exactly what they're trying to take down, because when you talk about communism, when you talk about Marxism, there is no room for religion or spirituality. The state, the government is your God, is your mother, is your father. That's what Marxism, Leninism, communism, statism, socialism, that's what it's about, worshiping the government. So they're trying to remove the mother. They already removed the father from households throughout all different cultural diversities in America, if you want to use that term. I just say this, did that shit in America and around the world. And now they're slowly removing women from the household. So you have nothing left but the government raising your children. Oh, it's a slippery slope we're going down. And I know majority of us see this shit and it's like, I don't like this. But everyone's afraid to say something because nobody wants to be labeled as hateful. You can call me hateful all you want to. I know I'm not hateful because I'm comfortable in my own skin. I know exactly who I am. You're not about to tell me who the fuck I am. I am who I am, and I'm still trying to understand what I can become and build upon and evolve what I am, who I am. So you can call me whatever you want to call me. I'm just going to ignore you because you don't mean shit to me. Outside of you being another human being that I respect and that I won't infringe infringe upon your personal liberties. So with this whole section, or this part 3, or this 3 or whatever of this section, restaurant. So what we're talking about, bathrooms. I do not want a little boy with a dick and ball going to the bathroom right behind my daughter, saying, "Oh, I identify as a girl, so I'm going to the bathroom with her." Whoa, you're what? Am I wrong for saying that? No, man. That's my thoughts, man. That's my thoughts. That's my thoughts, bro. Like, I'm not wrong for saying that. I'm not angry. I'm not hateful. None of that shit. Like, hey, I don't want my daughter seeing some dick and balls from that little kid. I don't want her seeing her brother's little penis and shit like that. That's an odd thing. Oh, it sounds creepy when you say it like that, but because their siblings is creepy, not because, she's not ready to see that type of genitalia yet. I mean, I told y'all the kids can't even open up a bottle of mouthwash like it's so complex to them. They're kids, bro. They're kids. And what is this? You can't say kids are highly intelligent or the kids don't know anything and they gotta learn the world. And in another instance, saying, "Oh, kids are highly intelligent and stuff, and they can determine whether or not they want to be a male or female." How does that even make sense? You can't do that. They struggle to open up a bottle that's childproof. Yeah, they're supposed to determine whether or not they want to be a male or female based on how they feel. This kid, my son wants to be a fucking monkey, bro. Guess what? I want to be a monkey at his age too. Cause I was like, oh man, I would love to be a monkey. It's like, oh shit, you too? I was like, man, you are my son, right? Cause I've wanted to be a monkey too at your age. Get say some wild shit, man, because it's fun, it's exploratory, it's whatever. But really, they just are who they are, and they like who they are. Encourage kids to like their bodies. If you have a little kid saying that they want to be of a different identity, whether they want to be a male or a female, how about you empower them to like who they are, that they are? Like, hey man, there's nothing wrong with the way you look. Be proud of who you are. No, they're telling you you can be wherever you want, and you should be proud of that. Like I said, you can be everything you want to be in this world other than who you are. That's literally what they're saying. Don't get mad at me because I said it. Don't get mad at me because I point out the fucking truth or the facts. Don't get mad at me that the shit don't make sense and I'm just calling it out. We're all thinking it, bro. We're all thinking it. So they're talking about public accommodations. They're talking about, it says healthcare facilities, shelters, government offices, youth service providers, including adoption and foster care providers. What about the YMCA? Also, it's a Christian place. And now you're telling people who have a religious belief that they, go by or whatnot, their own ideology. Now you're saying, oh, you're a hateful person because you won't allow this transgender child to use the bathroom in which they identify with. Well, I'm sorry, we don't do that here. We go on the principle of Christianity and the Bible and stuff like that. We don't do that here. Are we in the Jewish community? In the Jewish community, we're follow the Jewish religion. We're Hebrew. We don't go along with these things. Or we're Islam. We don't go along with these things. Whatever the case may be. You can't get mad at these people in their ideological beliefs, because how can you get mad at these people in their ideological beliefs? And this comes from someone that for a period of time I was like, man, I don't like Christians and all that stuff. They're against homosexuals. I, I I'm coming from the same place as most of these people, these leftists are coming from, because it sounds good, but it doesn't make sense. Because how can you get mad at one group of people saying that they don't necessarily agree with homosexuals and stuff like that, but they're not going to denounce them and stuff, or if they do denounce them, they're not going to treat them unfair and things like that. Oh, you could be gay and stuff, or you could be a transgender or whatever you want to identify with, but you gotta go with what the sexual orientation that you was brought into this world. Shit don't even make sense. I'm trying to explain it to them in a manner that which they say this shit don't even make sense. You have a dick and balls. You cut off your dick and balls. I don't know what to tell you. That don't sound like a procedure I don't think anybody wants to go through. But if you're willing to go through the part of cutting off your dick and balls, we really need to sit and talk what's going on in your head, man. I mean, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. I've been around transgender people. Like, hey, are you willing to go through that? Just because you want to wear some high heels and stuff? Hey, I was a kid. I thought about wearing my mom's high heels in her closet and stuff. My dad probably be like, "What the fuck you said, boy?" But hey, that's what it is. I thought about doing that shit. I thought about doing it because it's like, hey, how are you walking these? And then I put my foot in there. I'm like, oh my god, I would never walk in these things. This is not fun at all. There's nothing wrong with that. What about a female that doesn't want to wear heels? That doesn't make her gay. She's probably saying, hey, fuck that. My feet hurts. I don't want to walk in these. There's nothing wrong with that. But we're opening the door for something that I don't think we should be going down, because we're not helping humanity. We're just making it worse. Wherever you want to be as an individual, you can be wherever you want to be. If you want to identify as a female and you're a male, you're a male, but you identify as it doesn't make sense. Just go along with the saying. Just go along with the saying. So if you're a male and you want to identify as a female and you want to go into a public restroom, and you know that other people think that you're a male, you're gonna have a problem with that. Well, what do you do then? Oh, I'm gonna get mad at the rest of y'all because you don't believe the way I believe. But wait, and that's kind of fucked up, is it not? Get mad because everyone else doesn't believe in the things you believe. Meanwhile, you're mad at them for not believing in what you believe in. Isn't that kind of hypocritical? I should say, hey, you don't believe in the things I believe in, except that's fine. I'll go somewhere else to use a bathroom or use a porta potty, stuff like that. And then you say, well, no, we gotta make accommodations for them. Why? Why? That sounds mean, right? That sounds incredibly mean. That sounds like I'm being a complete asshole. But let's be honest. Why? If there's 1 million so-called transgenders, which I'm pretty sure is less than half of that probably, in America, why are we making accommodations? For what? For a bathroom? How many of us actually use a bathroom in public? A lot of us don't even like to use it. I don't like to use a bathroom in public. Sometimes my kids are like, hey, just hold it, because you go to a lot of bathrooms, it's nasty, man. I'm like, hey, hold it. Hold your pee. Wait till we get home. Now, can you have a single stall or toilet bathrooms? Yeah, actually, some gas stations do. But if you're trying to accommodate a mass amount of people, guess what? Majority of the population will be going to the bathroom in which their sexual orientations match up with on the fucking door. That's it. That's it. Because what do you do? Like, what are you gonna do? You're running a business, and majority of your customers are not transgender. What are you gonna do? Have one full separate bathroom? Hell, didn't South Park make an episode exactly about this guy? Actually, they did. Go check that out. They made an episode exactly like this. Like, you gotta be careful with what we're doing here. Oh man, there's some other stuff in this. I can't remember exactly what I wanted to read. I probably already, I know I made this podcast way longer than what I intended to be, but it does mention the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It says have been subjected to history and pattern of persistent, widespread, and pervasive. Man, I've been hearing that word widespread a lot. Widespread has been used a lot in these government documents and what they talk about. discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation, and you got to ask yourself, how often does that actually happen? How many people have you been around and seen? Oh yeah, they hate this person because they're gay. They hate this person because they're black. They hate this person, or this institution hates these people because they're black. So if I'm black, me, Damian Jackson, is black and gay. I'm black and gay, or I'm black and transgender, and I try to get a job, and they don't hire me, and I say, oh, you're discriminating against me because what? Because I'm black? Is because I'm a male? Is because I identify as a female? Is because I'm a homosexual? Pick one. Oh, I guess you could discriminate against all those different things. So now now that we open up the door to weaponize this to take down a corporation or any entity that we want to, just simply by saying, oh, you know what? I don't like what you're saying. You know what? You're racist. You know what? You discriminate against the LGBT community. We don't like you. We're taking you down. Now you're weaponizing a form of psychological warfare where you can take down any corporate entity or any church, any religion, almost like you're trying to destabilize a nation through economy, through resources, through a supposed free market, and through its educational institutions. All by design. If you choose to, obviously, do your own research and read this act. This shit is all over the place, man. I feel like the more I read it, I probably get even more pissed off. Now, there was another video I wanted to show you guys. Let's see. Which one was it? All the random shit I watch on YouTube. I think it was this. She was talking really fast though, but I like some of the things she was saying in this video. We started from the beginning. Whenever it decides to pop up. Don't worry, YouTube. Just take your time. Don't worry, computer. Don't worry, slow ass computer. With nothing else going on, all the tabs are closed and everything. Don't worry. Just take your sweet ass time. Hit refresh, see if it works. But yeah, and in this video, she kind of breaks down the whole transgender, what she called transgender mania or whatnot. I forget exactly what her supposed credentials are. And oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Oh, come on, man. The whole website's just gonna mess up. I swear, it's only when I want to do something. It's just gonna mess it all up. Well, this is what live TV's live shows is all about right here. And now the web page is frozen itself. I probably stop clicking too, because the more I click all over the place, it probably just makes things worse. Let's see if I just open up a different tab and just close it out altogether. It should pop up. Like I said, it should. Oh yeah, the shit was working 5 minutes ago. I don't know what's wrong with it now. Who knows? Maybe I probably shouldn't have said that shit about CIA. Oh, Tom McDonald dropped a new video, Clown World. Might have to do a reaction video to that. Oh yeah, I think I am gonna do a reaction video to that. Let's see. Come on, please play. Got me out here begging and shit. Mainly as part of this video, she was kind of talking about how at the end of every cultural collapse, you can go back and looking at ancient history. When I say you got to study history, you go back and look in time at the Romans and other civilizations. Towards the collapse of the civilization, things like transgender and stuff like that was popping up. Come on, man. Why is it not playing? That makes me really pissed off. right, take the screen down, try to do something real quick because I really wanted to show you guys that, and just the certain things that what she was talking about, because it's, like I say, you gotta study history. When you study history, and you kind of see how the history lets you know what's happening in the future. And we're supposed to study history to learn from our mistakes, but we don't really study history to learn from our mistakes. We study history just to study it and pass a test. But not once is anybody actually paying attention. Then the history we have anyways is based on indoctrination, so we're only getting half truths. We don't know what the fuck is going on. And that's, I don't like that part either. So all I did was just close the browser and brought it back up. And I can't believe it won't let me play the video, man. It makes me so mad. It's so annoying. Because I don't understand why this keeps happening. Every now and then. Watch. Okay, I'm gonna try to play a different video and see if it play. So it makes me wonder, like, why is my YouTube got messed up? Why is my Internet Explorer has to mess up while I'm trying to do this? And I'm not gonna lie to you, now I'm just determined as fuck to get it done. Because there's no reason that shouldn't be working right now. Like, there's literally no reason. There's nothing else open. There's not even another tab open. I have this and I have Streamlabs open. That's it. Oh, cool. Because I got a call and it shows up on my computer on FaceTime. That means FaceTime's been open up this whole entire time as well, too. So that's great. That's great. That means government probably can listen in on every little thing anyways. Huh. Just because it rained and showed up on my computer, the app opened up. Well, that's interesting. That's good to know. Let's see. This video should not play if it's so messed up or whatever. I mean, YouTube pulls up fine. Let's see if I can play a video on my phone. I'm not gonna play this video, but just any video. So yeah, so it's not like YouTube is down or anything, because I'm playing a video right now on my phone without any issues. Yet I can't play the video on my computer with the exact same operating system. And now the web page is frozen. Whatever. So yeah, maybe I'll play the video a different time or whatever, and I can't even go back and look to see what the name of the video was. Okay, it did let me go back, interestingly enough. Like, everything is loading up except for the video itself. Whatever, the video is titled "A Lesson from History: Transgender Mania is a Sign of Cultural Collapse." And the person speaking is Camilla Paglia, Paglia. It says she's an author. It says she's an author and something else. Author, art professor, feminist, and cultural commentator. She speaks on the current transgender mania, the wisdom of early medical and surgical intervention. She basically calls it child abuse for her to even do anything to affect the gender and puberty stage of a child. I mean, that's actually a good argument, whether you agree with it or not. It's actually a discussion that should be had. And talk about how the explosion of gender identities is a recurring sign of cultural collapse throughout the history of civilization. God, and it won't fucking play, man. It just won't play. On your own time, go ahead. You decide to go ahead and watch that. I listened to half of it, but I didn't even listen to all of it, and it's aggravating because I really want to listen. I mean, I can listen to it on my own time too, but fuck, that makes me mad that the video just won't play. But yeah, this is already a long episode today anyway, so I want to say I apologize for that, but nah, I actually don't. This is some good information, man. This is a good talk. This is a good conversation. this is a good thing to talk about, man, because we're thinking it. Somebody out there right now is thinking it, what I just said. But, you know, they don't want to say it in the public forum, in the public spectrum, because they're afraid of being called something. It is what it is. I mean, people, my friends, family members, they can call me whatever they want to call me, but I know they all think of it. Because we should be questioning these things, man. Just because I have a question about it doesn't make me a bad person, bro. Just, hey, I'm just saying, hey, you know, just got a question real quick. What's going on here? I'm sorry, but you know, I have a question. I like how I just clicked away from it and then the shit popped up. Let's see. But there's nothing wrong with having a question and talking about these things, man. There's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with that because this affects all of us. So if it's something as huge as talking about passing a legislation in Congress and the United States government, then we also talk about it because they're literally passing laws that we have nothing to do with. Like, did they ask you? Did they ask me? I don't. Nobody asked me what I thought about this shit. Like, who even brought this shit up to pass it? Because, like I said, if we're talking about 1 million people and we have a population of 330 million people, what about the 329 million rest of us? The rest of us that's like, hey, can we say something about this going on right now? Like, what is wrong with that? Like, let's be honest, what is actually wrong with that? That we sit and just say, hey, can we talk about why this is being passed and who brought this up? Well, it's your civil rights groups and stuff, whatever, that brought this up. I told you those are Marxist agenda groups. Marxism, communism, that's what they're trying to bring into. Whatever, man. So yeah, the video's not popping up. It is what it is. Fuck it. But no, that's all I want to talk about today. And I went on a lot of rants but I just had to get this out of my head, man, because it needs to be said because I never really sat and thought about some of these things because I'm just like you. I'm just like every other person where I was like, hey, this sounds good, so it's okay. But when you actually take the time to think about it, because you don't want to think about it, because then you get attacked with all these emotions because if you have an argument or something that's different or a different opinion or a disagreement with a so-called mainstream opinion or the mainstream perspective, which just because it's mainstream, just because they put it on TV and in social media, it doesn't mean it's popular. I don't think people understand that. Just because they put it there doesn't mean it's popular. And even somebody that take a celebrity. Take a celebrity. Take Eminem or like a LeBron James where they have millions of followers on social media accounts, stuff like that. There's still, I don't know, billions upon people that don't know who they are. There's some people that that are so popular, yet you don't know who they are at all. I had this conversation with my son the other night. We was watching a movie and I think it was that movie, man, I forgot what it was called now. Greenland. Yeah, it was Greenland, which I thought was funny too, that an asteroid hit Tampa, Florida, and they were living in Central Florida. I'm like, wait a minute. Polk County, where I live at? Like, man, they really hate fucking Florida, huh? They just want to destroy us, wipe us off the map. They pissed off, huh? And this movie came out last year. Predictive programming. But we was talking about it because some guy on social media, you know, he's on YouTube and videos, stuff like that, maybe TikTok videos. He's like, oh man, that guy's super famous. I can't believe he's in this movie or something like that. Or he was saying something about a guy super famous. I was like, no, guy. I was like, that's not super famous. I was like, I don't even like that word, that term, super famous. But if you're gonna use that, understand that there are levels to being famous. You could be famous, and you could be super famous or uber famous. Like Michael Jordan is a super famous person. He's known around the world in a lot of countries. This guy that my son was talking about, I was like, he might have 1 million people following him on social media accounts. It's not the same thing, man. It's not the same thing. Imagine being famous before there was even social media. Imagine being famous before the internet. Imagine being famous before TV. This is the type of famous that you will probably wish you could reach. That's legendary status because you're talking about being in the history books, like a Abraham Lincoln, a Martin Luther King. Malcolm X only had the same level of notoriety as the Martin Luther King, George Washington, and this is just in America. I'm not talking about the people that like a Siddhartha Gautama. You talking about the Buddha? The Buddha. Millions of people around the world famous to him. Some people don't even know who that is. So it's one thing when we talk about mainstream media and popularity stuff. That's just what they're telling us. What is actually popular? Like I was gonna say, who actually has a billion fans stuff? But and again, you have like Blackpink that gets like billions of views because they're also dealing with a population in China, South Korea, probably not North Korea, but Indonesia, India, Australia over there, Pacific regions of the world, where yeah, you got billions of fans. But yet here in America, we don't know who the fuck they are. So I was gonna say, man, we're talking about things and we make it seem like it's at the forefront of everyone's mind when it's not actually not. You think a lot of people actually pay attention to transgender community or transgenders in itself? I hate community. I don't know how you become like. Is there an application for me to be a part of the black community, or I just gotta have the perceived black skin, even though I'm not black? Can I be part of the transgender community if I'm not a transgender? How do you be a part of the transgender community? Do I need to fill out an application to be a part of the community? All these stupid communities. Do I need to fill out an application? Is there a registration? Is there a list of all the names and membership of people that are part of this community? Are there any dues? Do I have to pay any possible fees? Understand, we just say a lot of words that mean nothing just to make up shit, to kind of put some things in context. That's it. Yet, there is no community outside of your own individuality. And all I'm talking to and all I'm catering to and what I respect the most is you, the individual. So as I said earlier in today's episode, I'll be paying attention to what's going on this weekend as far as the Iraq or the Iran Syria thing, the missile launch or whatever. I'll be paying attention to the whole CPAC thing and the Trump speech. I believe he's supposed to speak Sunday, so I want to have a recap on that, or at least have some information, give my opinion based on that Monday, and whatever else happens this weekend. I'm trying to think. I'll probably do a little recap too, because Israel Adesanya fights for the light heavyweight championship in the UFC, so probably talk a little bit about that and whatever else is gonna happen between now and then. I hope you enjoy your weekend. I hope you enjoyed your week. I hope you enjoy every fucking day of your life. Even though you're not gonna enjoy every fucking day of your life, I hope you find that one little thing that brings you peace. Not necessarily happiness, but that brings you peace, that brings you calm, that brings you that nirvana, that moment of that relaxation moment where you have some calmness to you. I hope you find that. Whether it's for a minute, whether it's for a second, whatever the case may be, I hope you find that each and every day. I love everybody, which is a hard thing for me to say because I don't like everybody. But doesn't mean I don't love and respect you, the individual. Because you, the individual, are the smallest minority in existence in the human species. You, the individual. I respect you, the person. I spread love and to everybody, the person. I don't have hate for nobody. Like I said, if there's one person I'm gonna hate, I would hate that person. And I don't hate that person. I don't hate anybody else. That's for damn sure. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your time. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the weather. Just find some positivity and embrace the negativity. Embrace it all. Live life. Be great. I'll be back Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to enjoy the live stream, come hang out in the chat or whatever. Or just follow the podcast on your platforms, your apps, as far as Spotify or Podbean or Apple Podcasts. And also upload the podcast, the video version, to my Odyssey and YouTube channel. Once again, go to Damian Jackson 22. My links to my podcast, social media accounts are in the top right corner of that webpage. Enjoy life. Be awesome. Be great. You are limitless in potential. Be amazing. Be amazing. So until next time,